I'm Richard Hefner, your host on The Open Mind, and I'd like to think a fairly good neighbor, too, which, of course, as I've noted before, here in Manhattan, could actually mean no more than sharing the same elevator line, something my wife and I delightedly do with Eli Walsh, my guest today, and with his lovely wife, Ann Jackson, both wonderfully talented actors. Well, when Eli has been here before, I've noted that for nearly a half century now, actually only one other actor, Robert Redford, has joined me here on The Open Mind. Perhaps because I'm so much in awe of these clever men and women who at will can put on and take off new identities, whether on the stage, in film, or on television. But now my guest today has become an author, too, of Harcourt's wonderful new The Good, the Bad, and Me, with its delightful subtitle, In My Anecdotage, about which Clint Eastwood has written, unlike many books these days, this one is terribly accurate. Working with Eli Walsh was one of the great pleasures of my life. He is an extremely versatile actor and now a fine storyteller. The late Arthur Miller wrote that Eli Walsh is the happiest good actor I've ever known. He really enjoys the work, just as he must have enjoyed writing this probably true book. Mike Nichols writes, Eli Walsh is almost as good a writer as he is an actor, which is very. And I say, this is a great read. Go out and buy Eli Wallach's new book. You'll love it. But first join Eli and me in our anecdotage as I ask him first just why he was sputtering so on the telephone the other evening about some foul-mouthed play he had just seen when nearly 50 years ago, Time magazine wrote about his very first film, Baby Doll, quote, "This is just possibly the dirtiest American movie ever legally exhibited, with Priapian detail that might well have embarrassed Boccaccio." So, Eli, do you think we're just getting to be old fuddy-duddies?
I'd rather be an old fuddy-duddy than a dirty old man, you know.
Not both?
No, no. I didn't know the meaning of Priapian, so I rushed to the dictionary and read it. I didn't know I was involved in any such thing when we made the film. One of the critics said, "Where was his hand in the scene on the swing?"
Where was it?
It was October or November in Mississippi, and it was very cold, and there was a heating unit down below, and that's where my hand was. But they were suggesting that my hand was on a vital part of the young lady, Carol Baker.
So don't avoid the question, seriously. They're this dirtiest of all American films. Presumably, at least Time magazine said so. And now you're talking to me on the telephone the other evening, and you're sputtering about the nature of something you had just seen and heard.
When I first started to make television, do television appearances, you couldn't say damn. You couldn't share the bed with a woman on television. Now it's all fair game, everything.
And you don't like it?
No, I don't.
Why?
I always used to say that the more you cursed, it showed that you had no language ability, no sense of what a good sentence was. My mother used to say to me, Eli, we all have just so many words programmed into us. It's a quota, so don't use too many words. So I didn't speak much as a boy. The day before yesterday, I was in the Library of Congress in Washington, the most beautiful building in Washington. And I couldn't figure out how to use language. Then I thought, wait a minute, if you die before you've used up your quota, it ends up in the library. So I was always in the libraries as a kid. I loved to read. You don't read anymore. People don't read anymore. It's all TV now.
Look, you're not complaining too much about that, are you? Is it really so much worse now than it was? Have we gone downhill? Didn't our grandparents and parents say the same thing about what was happening?
Yes, I guess they did, but I'm old now, and so I can indulge in saying, I don't like the language used on television today. I just don't.
But of course, it all began in that other medium of yours,
Movies?
movies.
Yeah.
That's where the bad things happened.
Yeah, but you turn on Turner Classic Films now and you watch and you see wonderful old movies. Dangerous. The language was not as... I watched Cary Grant yesterday in a thing called Monkey Business, and it was wonderful, a wonderful movie. Today, you use the word F 16 times in every 4 minutes on the screen. I don't like it.
So where are we going? To hell in a wheelbarrow?
Well, I don't know. I just like to excite people. I like people to share ideas. Bill Moyers had a program which was wonderful called Now?
Yep.
Now. And it was investigative reporting. That I found very exciting. Today I watched a lot of TV and everybody yells at one another. They scream at one another. Nobody listens to what the other person is saying, but they all talk together at the same time, and it doesn't please me. It doesn't please me at all.
Eli, what is the medium of choice for Eli Wallach?
The theater.
Theater still?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because a playwright sits down and plans out something, and you as the actor have to obey everything he wrote. We've spent years with Tennessee Williams, years with Arthur Miller, years with Murray Shisgo, my favorite new one. And all of them were involved in stimulating the mind, like yours, the open mind. Today, they don't stimulate very much.
Theater or the other media? When you say today they don't stimulate very much, are you comparing the theater today with the theater before, or are you saying the other media?
No, I think there are a lot of good playwrights today. But the theater has dwindled. It now is musicals, mostly, and off-Broadway. But the United States is rich in tiny theaters all across the country. And in every city, there's a regional theater where people can watch plays of meaning. And that's what enriches my life and what should enrich the lives of those who watch it.
So you're saying the theater could still be, and in some places, many places outside of the big cities, is involved with ideas, thoughts.
Exactly, yes. Yes, you put it very well.
Well, I'm just parroting my friend Eli Wallach when you're saying the rest of it is musicals, but what we're talking about is they who do the musicals know where the audience is.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But some of the musicals were great in those days. I mean, Guys and Dolls is a great musical. Oklahoma. All of them were wonderful, wonderful treats for the viewer. Today, I don't know. There's a thing called encore, where they revive little pieces of great musicals of the past. A treat to watch. Today,
you know, there's a phrase that you use here, and I suppose I should have heard it or remembered it, because you say the theater has often been called the fabulous invalid. Why? Why that?
Because it always seems to be on the verge of dying, and yet it revives itself. Every once in a while, a great playwright comes along, and the theater has a new lean on life again. Yes, because look what happened. You had the theater. You had the storytellers in the jungles, right? Then you had the theater with great Shakespeare, great dealers of the past. Up comes the films, radio, films, television, all of them, and they have not been able to put away the fabulous invalid. We're still alive and we're still functioning.
When you talk about functioning, you talk about ideas. The theater is where ideas come to the surface. How do you distinguish between the writer of plays and the actor of plays?
In my training at the neighborhood playhouse or at the actor studio, we don't make up the language. We obey what's written by the playwright. And that's the challenge, is to bring his words to life. And that's what we do.
You're not tempted to
make up
do
words?
more? Well, I don't even know whether it's make up words so much as to change in your presentation of those words what
No.
you know to be the writer's meaning.
I always say that the author is the great composer. The actor is the one who brings back to life what the playwright has written. So it's like I play an instrument. When a director casts it, he knows what the music should be. I am the orchestra player. So I bring to life what the writer has written and the director has created with the author. I am just carrying out what they want me to do.
Okay, then tell me, what makes a great actor?
When you mentioned Arthur Miller's thing, he said, Eli Wallach is probably the best good actor I've ever known. And I said, what do you mean good? Why not great? Why not great? I don't know what makes the actor great. I don't know. Talent, you're born with it. And my wife says, Anne says, as a wife, that's par for the course. Be a mother, a wife, have children, but the other part, the talent part, the actor part, is there for you to, you have to have it.
Well, the people who have commented on your book talk about the happiest good actor, great actor. Okay, I'll use that word. You are the happiest guy I know.
Well, I enjoy what I do. I've never lost my appetite. You know, when I was a little boy, my bed was the Sahara Desert. It was sand. I had seen Beau Geste, and I would lie on the bed. I was in the Foreign Legion, and I was getting shot, and lying there. And my mother would come in and say, "Eli, come and eat." And I say, "Look, Ma, I'm bleeding. I have no. I'm going. And she'd walk out. And I knew then she'd lay out the food for me to eat, but that I was in my glory acting.
So when you talk about a great actor, you're talking about an imagination, a creative imagination.
True. Don't forget, I've worked with Charles Lawton, Wilfrid Lawson, who else? Well, there are loads.
They're all in the book.
They're all in the book. Henry Fonda. I spent 2 years with Henry Fonda. Peter O'Toole, Al Pacino. All of them are in the book. All of them have their way of making an indentation, making you aware of what life is like. And to be a part of that business, to be a part of that work is always enriching for me.
Well, you say what life is like, and I, in this wonderful book, and a plug again for The Good, the Bad, and Me, although I like the subtitle, Best of All in My Anecdotage, when you write the chapter 12 on an actor's dilemma, you're back in New York now, you've shaved off your baby doll mustache, and set out to honor my agreement to return to the cast of Tea House, The August Moon. And then you talk about those last words. With a heavy heart, I stepped in front of the bamboo curtain and uttered my last lines for the final time. And as you write this in your wonderful book, I think Eli Wallach is saying something more. He's giving us something that, talking about ideas, is so close to him. Little story now concluded, history of world unfinished. Lovely ladies, kind gentlemen, go home to ponder. What was true at beginning remains true. Pain make man think. Thought make man wise. Wisdom make life endurable. I had the feeling that if there's a motto to Eli Wallach's life, summed up there in those last words.
Well, I love that, but that's written by the author,
I understand.
by John Patrick.
But here it is. It's in your book,
Right.
and it's something that obviously meant so much to you and means so much to you.
I spent 2 years doing that play. I went to do my first film. When it was over, I rushed back to continue as an Okinawan. One time, the stage manager said, "There's somebody important out front." I said, "Please don't tell me that. I don't want it. It makes me nervous." But I came out and I bowed, and I bowed, and it was in London, and I went, and it was Winston Churchill. And he had a little device here, and he went like this. It was a hearing aid. And I didn't know if he turned it off or turned it on. And I spent the rest of the play thinking, is it on? Is it off? Is it on? Is it off? Those are things that make my life richer. Playing on a stage.
Well, playing on the stage, but I also suspect that the recognition of you by Winston Churchill and others, when we walked into the studio today, I've walked into this building hundreds and hundreds of times now, and nobody will raise an eyebrow. You walk in, and people are waving to you. You also must derive something from your connection with the great of our society, not just good actors, great participants on the world stage with whom you've had some contact. You've told me about some of them before.
Oh, yeah. Charles Lawton, Henry Fonda.
Well, I don't mean those. I mean I'm trying to think of a story you told here at this table once about some major figure on the world stage. And I'm talking about those political people, those world leaders, because you don't hide your political thinking. You don't hide your thoughts. You're very, very out and crusade or campaign for things. Has that meant a lot to you, your ability to put your 2 cents in with the makers and the shakers?
But being an actor doesn't mean I'm a second-class citizen. I have to be a participant in the society. So I'm unhappy about something, I speak out. And I should.
Are you happy about the degree to which second-hand citizenship has been rejected by any number of actors who have now gone on to, if it's correct to say gone on to, political life?
No, I think they have a perfect right to go on to political life.
I'm not talking about right, sure. Even I have a right to do that. I'm talking about how pleased you are about the actors who are now have become senators and governors and president.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yes, I think it's fine. I think a lot of times actors speak out and are punished for speaking out. I think it's good and healthy for people to speak out, whether they make a point or disappoint or make people unhappy. They should speak out. And I think it's healthy for a society.
And the track record of those who have done so, how would you, as another speaker-outer, judge?
Well, in the 50s, you had to be extremely careful because you were punished for your thoughts. Now I think it's healthy to speak out, and I do.
Any repercussions?
Sometimes, yes.
What about in the theater?
No, the theater was very healthy. The theater never indulged in blacklisting, never.
How come?
I don't know, because they felt it was a society that protected the idea and the thoughts that were on the stage, and therefore it was not to be meddled with.
You mean it was part of that, what you described before, of your respect for the words and ideas of those who had written?
Correct.
The copy that you would then act out.
I mean, Shakespeare wrote things that your hair stands up on the back of your neck when you read what he wrote, and all of it. When Chekhov, Strindberg, Ibsen, all of them are very, very generous in exploring the inner thoughts of what's to appear on a stage, and we're lucky to have had them. And I keep thinking, now you have Tennessee Williams, you have Arthur Miller, you have, I always throw in Murray Siscoe, because I felt very rich to work with Murray.
And you're talking about people who are off the stage now.
Yes. Well, we have to go when we have to go.
No, but are we being followed in turn by those who express the ideas that you feel the stage is meant to express?
I do. I think the use of the word, of language, of thought, is what counts. I mean, who cares about? Well, I make silly statements, but I think we're richer for having the arts. A painter. We were in the museum yesterday to see Diane Arbus's photos. The world is richer for its art.
You think that we continue to recognize that sufficiently? You're an optimist, aren't you? You basically, I've heard you complain about a lot of things that are going on, but basically you think that human spirit will survive.
I do. Otherwise, what's the point of going on? Yes, you have to enjoy what's there.
And in the other masser media, television, film, what's your prognosis? You continue to act.
I do.
I mean, you certainly continue in film.
Yes.
You like it, by the way?
I do. I sneered at the beginning. I thought, no, it's mechanical. But then I realized how difficult it is. Good film work is brilliant. It reminds me of pointillism. You put little dots on the screen, on the piece of art,
yeah,
and you step aside, step back, and there you see pictures. I think growing up and watching as a little boy westerns, I never realized I'd wind up on horses riding spaghetti westerns. It's always fun for me to indulge in that mysterious world.
Well, you know, that you talk about the spaghetti westerns, and I think of the fact that I think of Eli Walsh not just as my neighbor, but I think of you in terms of the spaghetti westerns, and I think of you in terms of Tea House, and what an incredible contrast there is in my mind. But I guess you've integrated the theater and ideas with the spaghetti westerns.
Well, if you look at The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Sergio Leone did, as an Italian, did research on the Civil War that was rarely done in American film. And Clint Eastwood, bless him, began to do and analyze just what Leone did. The clothing they wore, the way they walked, the way they rode, all of that is a part of our history. And I'm lucky to have shared in it. I spent 3.5 months in the jungles in Cambodia, in Angkor Wat. Part of the United States was preparing to go to the war in Vietnam, and I'm making movies based on a book by Joseph Conrad. What is it called? What's the name of it?
Which one?
Lord Jim.
Lord Jim.
Yeah. So here I was, an actor in the jungles, playing as a half-breed warlord. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm from Brooklyn. What the hell am I doing there in the jungles? But it's always a challenge to me and a treat for me to indulge in these fantasies.
What's up next? We've got 1 minute left. What can we expect?
I hope I'm going to do a film Spike Lee is going to direct with
Denzel Washington. Is that the one with Washington?
Yeah. And I'm going to play an old Jewish owner of a lot of banks. And it'll be a challenge for me to create this man with Spike's guidance.
A film, Mr. Green?
I'm working on that. I wish it would happen.
I wish it would too. That was one of the most delightful, most intriguing plays I've seen Eli Wallach in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eli, I appreciate so much the fact that you've become an author, The Good, the Bad, and Me, in my anecdotage. And I hope everybody does go out and get not their fill of Eli Wallach, because there's so much more to come. Thank you for joining me today on The Open Mind.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks too to you in the audience. I hope you join us again next time. And if you would like a transcript of today's program with Eli Wallach, please send $4 in check or money order to The Open Mind, P.O. Box 7977, FDR Station, New York, New York 10150. Meanwhile, as another old friend used to say, good night and good luck.